Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moments. What if a simple moment on a variety show suddenly turned into something completely unexpected? A moment that at first seemed light, almost ordinary, slowly unfolded into a conversation that was awkward, spontaneous, yet warm, and in the end, left a much deeper impression than anyone could have imagined. The long-awaited news has finally arrived. Jungkook and Jimin are confirmed to appear on a variety show hosted by Choo Sung Hoon. But this isn't just an ordinary appearance. It's not only about two global idols sharing the same screen, but about how the atmosphere created within the show reveals a side of them we rarely get to see. More relaxed, more honest, and completely unfiltered. Since the short preview was released, fans' excitement has been overwhelming. Many began to wonder, what kind of dynamic would unfold? Could this be a moment where we see them not as performers on stage, but as individuals genuinely enjoying each other's company? And as it turns out, the answer is even more than that. In one clip, the atmosphere starts off casual. The conversation flows lightly with small bursts of laughter here and there, and everything seems to go as expected for a typical variety show. Until suddenly, Choo Sung Hoon makes a rather unusual request: clean your ears. The sentence is simple, but enough to make Jungkook pause for a moment. With a confused yet polite expression, he repeats, "Oh, clean ears," as if trying to make sure he heard it correctly. Instead of changing the topic, Choo Sung Hoon casually continues, "I want to try it." At that point, the atmosphere begins to shift. There's a brief silence that feels slightly awkward, as if everyone is processing what just happened. But before the awkwardness can grow, a small laugh breaks out. Light, but enough to ease the tension. "Why are you laughing?" Choo Sung Hoon asks, slightly puzzled. And that's when the unexpected moment happens. Jimin, who had been observing quietly, suddenly cuts in with a completely unanticipated comment. "I don't know why, but I think a kiss would be better." That sentence seems to freeze time for a second. Not just because of what he said, but because of how naturally it came out. Unplanned, unscripted, and completely unfiltered. Even Jimin himself looks a bit surprised by his own words. He lets out a small laugh, trying to cover the awkwardness. This is really unexpected. And that's exactly where the beauty lies. There's no script, no setup, just honest reactions happening in real time. Choo Sung Hoon responds casually, wrapping up the moment with a light remark. "Right? Let's just treat it like YouTube." A simple response, yet enough to bring the atmosphere back to something relaxed and filled with laughter. That short exchange might sound trivial, but for many, that's where the real charm lies. We see Jungkook remaining innocent in his confusion, Jimin being spontaneous without a filter, and a dynamic that feels alive precisely because it isn't staged. But the surprises don't stop there. In another scene that's just as attention-grabbing, the cheerful atmosphere shifts into something hard to describe. Jungkook is seen using the flashlight from his phone, carefully directing it toward Choo Sung Hoon's ear. The goal is simple: to help Jimin clean the host's ear. A situation that, when you think about it, sounds incredibly unusual, especially happening in front of the camera. Jungkook carries it out with a serious expression, as if it's an important task that must be done perfectly. Meanwhile, Jimin can't hide his reaction. He looks amused, slightly awkward, and a bit in disbelief that they are actually doing something like this on a show that will be watched by so many people. Yet strangely, it's from that very oddness that warmth emerges. There's no distance, no pretense, just interactions that feel deeply human, strange, funny, yet sincere. They're not trying to look perfect. They're simply being themselves. And maybe that's what makes this moment feel so different. In addition, during BTS's recent interview on the Elvis Duran show, the members spoke honestly about their comeback as a group, their feelings about returning to the stage, their relationship with fans, and their desire to present a more genuine side of themselves through their work. In that interview, Jungkook and Jimin talked about their journey, about how they want to show a more honest version of themselves to their fans. In one simple yet meaningful moment, Jungkook turns to look at Jimin with a soft smile. A small gesture, but enough to show a closeness that doesn't need to be explained with words. Jimin then says calmly, We thought, maybe it would be better if we showed ourselves as we truly are to our fans. Maybe they will accept us as a different version of who we were before. That sentence isn't just an explanation. It's a hope. A hope that the people who have supported them all this time can see beyond their stage personas. That behind everything, there are human beings with stories, emotions, and journeys that continue to grow. With a small smile, Jimin adds, "We're really curious about the reaction, and we're looking forward to it, hehe." That light laugh carries a genuine sense of nervousness. When talking about performing again as a group, both of them admit that they feel nervous. Time has passed, and everything feels different. Standing together on stage is no longer just routine, it's an emotional moment. For them, it's a reunion. An opportunity to return not as their old selves, but as versions of themselves that have grown, changed, and matured. Jungkook emphasizes that this change is not a weakness, but a challenge. They continue to practice, maintain their condition, and strive to deliver the same energy they had at the beginning of their careers. That determination feels real. They don't just want to come back, they want to show that they've evolved. And when all these moments are put together, from absurd jokes, spontaneous comments, to meaningful conversations, we begin to see a fuller picture. That behind the global spotlight, they are still just human. They can laugh for no clear reason. They can feel awkward. They can say things they didn't plan. And from all of that, comes a kind of honesty that simply cannot be fabricated. Maybe that's why this moment feels so memorable. Not because of how big the show is, not because of who's involved, but because of those small, unplanned moments of honesty that feel the most real. So when that day finally comes, maybe we won't just laugh at their unexpected antics. Maybe we'll feel something deeper, a sense of closeness, a sense of warmth, and perhaps a new understanding that they aren't just idols we admire from afar, but people who, in many ways, aren't so different from us. If you feel the same way, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned to Jikook Moments and see you in the next video.